That 200 rand, what happens if that is the difference between whether my child can go to school with lunch or not? Mm-hmm. Like, why are you constantly taking from the people who are just barely making it because of you? Yeah. Because of you. So, fresh off my meltdown last week around me thinking someone is stealing electricity from me, I'm telling you, those people are going to come into our house and they're going to figure it out. They're going to look at the wires and see if
you got someone?
Yes.
Okay, to come see why.
This coming weekend, they're going to come and see why my electricity bill looks like I run Loftus Versveld. Fresh off that, news comes out that all of a sudden, if you're on prepaid, there is a 200 rand fee that you're going to have to pay. And I'm thinking, what in the e-tolls is happening right now?
Joburg City Power says it was forced to introduce a recurring 200 rand monthly levy for prepaid users.
The total basic charge of 200 rand.
So Gauteng residents using Joburg City Power's prepaid meters will face a new recurring fee of 200 rand.
So now, as of 1 July, if you're a Gauteng resident, that is you, and you're on Joburg City Power's prepaid meters, you'll be charged a recurring 200 rand monthly fee. City Power said the new fee will be split into two, 70 rand for service charges and 130 rand for network capacity charges. Now, something like this is not foreign. If you think every now and then something scares me when I look at my bank account statements and then there's just like 800 rand there, you're like, hey, bo. They're like, no, that's the fee to pay. Like, you're renting your bank account.
Like bank charges.
Yeah.
The frustration.
You're renting your bank account. So to me, is it something like that? Is it you? And I don't think I would mind it if it was always like that. To me, when things like this happen, it feels like somebody thumb-sucked it so that they could get more money out of us. Because why do you decide, after all this time, why do you decide, oh, wait, hang on, we have to charge you 200 rands a month for fees for you to be on prepaid?
So this is a simplistic explanation. So listening to the guy from City Power who was explaining it, I think it was the general manager for pricing and tariffs, he was saying one of the things that they've had to do in the implementation of this 200 rand levy, basically, for prepaid users, was that the cost of electricity provision has gone up.
So the cost to supply
what it costs them to provide the service. So that's gone up, right?
But surely that should be covered. And I'm sorry to be treating you like you're the one who took things up now.
Okay,
but
Deborah.
Surely, Deborah Patter. But surely that should be covered in the 12.7 tariff increase.
No, so what he was explaining was the problem is with prepaid users, historically, all we've been paying for is for the actual, so when you buy the units, that's all you've been charged for historically.
But whose fault is that?
There we go. And now they're stepping in and saying, well, you need to now pay this 200 rand. Because I think for people who are on when you're not monthly, what's the other one?
Prepaid.
No, when you're not prepaid, the monthly users.
Oh, yes.
So there are other charges built into
contract users, we'll call them.
People, yes, would have been paying all along, but that wasn't the same for prepaid. So it's a balancing of the scales in a way.
I can support this argument if there was an option for us to have a different supplier. But because we have one supplier, they can do what they want. And we have to pay. And this is the issue. So I was also, the energy conversation was ruined for me because if you guys watched Enron, which I think it's Enron, the smartest guys in the room, which was
a movie.
It's a movie about a US power struggle where in a part of America, the sole supplier of energy faked load shedding to increase prices and not give people a choice. Then I'm just with all of these increase after increase, it just makes me think.
So your conspiracy theorist hat is on now.
Yes, so now I'm thinking, are you just going to keep raising the price until we buckle because we don't have a choice?
Well, the thing is with electricity charges is, for example, with the tariff, right? So what happens when the likes of Eskom want to increase your tariffs is that they have to then go to the National Energy Regulator of South Africa, NERSA. Then NERSA grants an approval. A few years ago, there was actually a court case about how much Eskom wanted to charge. That's how far it went, because NERSA was saying, well, hang on a minute, that's too much. And Eskom was saying, well, ultimately, if we need to, and this is on the tariffs and on the 200 rand levy, there is, what I'm saying is, I don't want to make it complicated, but there is a process up to when the increases are granted, and there's actually consultation with various people.
I'm sure your blood is boiling. Don't make it boil too much. You don't have the electricity for it. Keep your boiling at an... I mean, just do you have another 200 rand to be squeezed out of you? And for me, I don't know if this is like the ill-informed side of me speaking, But I don't want to now, in 4 or 5 years, we have what happened with the e-tolls. Now we're in court. Now they're scrapping all of them because they realized that it was unlawful, it wasn't right, and all of that. Could we see that happening with this 200 Rand recurring fee?
I've not seen anyone suggesting it, but I think it would be interesting to hear from like the likes of residents' associations, right? Because when you talk about the cost of electricity, generally, those would be the people who, even when NERSA has the hearings on Eskom's tariff increase applications, would participate. But also, when you talk about electricity, it's the knock-on effect. It's one thing to electrify your home, but remember, every store, every business that you transact with that relies on electricity ultimately now has to charge you more because they are spending more.
Good morning, buddy. Welcome to Anele in the club.
Hi, good morning, Anele. How are you? Morning, team.
I am as heated as you. I can hear you. You are heated.
No, I am. What upsets me is the fact that there was the recent court judgment where City Power owes Eskom R1 billion. They're now trying to recover those costs from us as consumers, which is really, really unfair because there was no process of consultation along about this entire thing. So on top of the 12% hike that we've recently experienced from NERSA, we now have to deal with this additional 200 Rand. And the thing is, nobody's thinking of, the missing middle where there's a single mom that's earning a salary of 9,000 Rand and her electricity bill was 500 Rand per month. You're now saying to that person that they need to figure it out what they're going to do with 300 Rand per month. And they now need to figure it out.
You hit the nail on the head.
But you're not thinking about the people that are barely making it. There's people that earn the bare minimum. They're just managing to stretch their budgets too. Now you're saying that they must figure it out where they're going to get this extra 200 Rand. I understand that everything has gone up, but the fact that it's a recurring 200 Rand per month is what the issue is. Because had they said it's going to be between, say, 30 and 50 Rand, maybe we'd make a concession on that and we'd be like, okay, rationally speaking, it's not ideal, but it is what we have. It's the cost of doing business, basically. But 200 Rand is excessive per month. We can't afford it.
It's a thin line between the 6,000 and 7,000. Yep. And that also, by the way, when you add it up, it means these households are going to have to pay 2,400 Rand more for electricity annually.
Dude, all I'm saying is that 200 Rand that you want to make recurring out of my budget, what happens if that is the difference between whether my child can go to school with lunch or not? Like, why are you constantly taking from the people who are just barely making it because of you? Yeah. Because of you.
Then we're all shocked that tin fish is the new national protein.
The bravest man in the morning, his name is Frank Hinda, City Power General Manager for Tariffs. Good morning. Welcome to Anele in the club.
Good morning, ma'am, and good morning to the listeners.
Okay, Frank, first things first, which conspiracy theorist would you like to kill first? Would you like to kill the one that says that City Power's got R1 billion debt, to Eskom? This is why they're implementing these 200 Rand price hikes. What about the one from the voice note where the guy said most of the municipalities were being placed under administration, so you guys are now putting in this 200 Rand, fee so that you can make up for that money? Which conspiracy theory do you want to kill first?
First of all, City Power, the judgment against City Power with respect to the R1 billion, we have appealed it. For as much as we respect the judgment, we have appealed it. It is now subject to appeal processes.
What does that mean?
It then means that depending the outcome at the end of, because we have asked higher courts to look at it as well.
Oh, so the bill is still there?
Yes, the bill is still there, but the courts can rule one way or the other.
Okay, cool.
It's not guaranteed that the court will say no, City Power pay that, because remember we are disputing the bill.
So what it means is that City Power does not have to pay right now because another court might decide differently. Correct, Frank?
Yes, indeed.
Okay, what else? Which other conspiracy theory would you like to kill?
The one about City Power is not under administration. It's not about to come under administration anytime soon. So this is not the purpose of the 200 Rand. The idea about the 200 Rand is that the customer, you will see when you compare the residential prepaid tariff to all other customers, City Power. But they are the most, it's the most favorable tariff, and it's therefore the most subsidized tariff.
Okay.
So it has got these anomalies that need to be set right going forward.
Okay, let's run a comparison quickly between the monthly payers and the prepaid payers, right? So the monthly payers, this 200 Rand tariff, how much, this 200 Rand fee, how much are they paying for it?
900 and about 900 Rand.
And they've always been paying it?
I've always been paying that. Yes.
And okay, so when did you guys decide that, wait, hang on, the prepaid guys are not paying one, and that is indeed wrong?
Now we have always known. It's about a couple of times that we tried to introduce the prepaid tariff over the last few years, and this is the first time that we eventually got there to doing it. And
what processes do you go to implement that? I mean, Tembikele earlier said that when Eskom wants to lift the tariffs, they have to go to NERSA. Is that a process that you guys have to follow as well, where you have to go to someone to say, this is what we're thinking?
Indeed. First of all, the Eskom tariff is the driver of City Power increases because we essentially buy from Eskom. 75% of our operating cost comes from Eskom. But there's a number of processes we go through to be quick. City Power top management have to agree to it. It then gets presented to council, and council has to consider it. And then as part of the budget processes, it then gets subject to the consultation with the residents.
At which point can we oppose it and say no, we can't do that, we can't afford that?
During public consultation, budgetary IDP processes that happen every year around April.
And Frank, because people weren't aware of the public participation process, do you think you did enough to ensure that as many people were aware so that they could give their input? And also maybe you can explain why 200 Rand is the magic figure. Could you have pitched it lower and still been able to stay afloat financially?
Indeed. I mean, this year there was public consultation, and the number that we were initially thinking of implementing was higher than the 200 Rand because the target and where we need to get it's a long way to go. And based on inputs from members of the public and the stakeholders, it was revised down to 200 Rand. So the 200 Rand was not the initial number that we were thinking about. And why it was revised down is simply to say to reduce the impact on the customer, and what it means then is that the implementation period then has to be extended on the part of City Power.
So do you think you did enough then, to Tembikele's question? Do you think enough was done for you guys to let the public know that this is a process that is happening? Because it's the first I hear of it. Jason, did you know about it?
No.
Tembikele, did you know about it?
You say you will never do enough notification. Any amount of notifying the customer would not necessarily be enough because of the medium that we use. But yes, more could have been done, and obviously when you know that this happens every year, public consultation happens every year, you could feel that the moods that you are using to communicate with people are sufficient because
we have to wrap it up.
Some people do come up.
Sadly, we have to wrap it up. So now that we are here, let's say I am part of the families that earn 6,000 and less. And, what is the process now? Who do I go to apply to be exempt from paying the 200 Rands a month?
There is a process of applying to be on the indigent register of social development within the city of Johannesburg. I can then find out the exact contact details and ask them that they be placed on the. I can give feedback to our team that the contact details be placed on our platform.
Frank, you don't know right now.
No. Remember, we have got many different role players in City Power. So the right role players know exactly what these numbers are. And I will ask them to put it on their social media.
Is there an opportunity for me, let's say I earn 6,500 Rand or 6,800 Rand, to go in and also be considered in this process? If I can show you that I really am strapped out, like I don't have the 200 Rand.
You see, there is criteria that is defined there in terms of that. And if you meet with criteria, as you as a person, when it will not be you will not be discriminated against for as much as we may think that you don't meet the criteria.
Okay, thank you. Frank Hinda, City Power General Manager for Tariffs.
Anele and the club
on 947.